So, this is my second try at this. I shot a video talking about body dysmorphic disorder and eating disorders and how the fitness industry seems to perpetuate these things, even create these things. And my video ended up being like an hour long. Now, that's entirely too long even for me. Yes, I will sit and listen to Andrew Huberman talk for 2 hours, but no one wants to listen to me talk for 2 hours. So I'm going to try this again, and I'm going to try to be very concise with some of these things. First off, the first thing I want you to understand is everything that you see in the fitness industry is an illusion. Okay, these pictures of these people that look amazing, they're photoshopped, and also these people peak for a photo shoot. It's not like they walk around like that year round. So the same way that bodybuilders peak for like the Olympia or something, that's what these people do for their photo shoot. They peak for their photo shoot. So that's like the best day that they look in the entire year. You get a whole bunch of pictures, put on different outfits, different backgrounds, everything like that. You do all these photos, and then you just slowly release those over the course of the year. But in addition to that, you already know about the Photoshop stuff. It's like that time that Cindy Crawford was being interviewed, and Cindy Crawford, one of the most beautiful women ever, and she says, yeah, I wish I looked as good as Cindy Crawford. Because she's recognizing and acknowledging that she doesn't look like her own photos. Those photos of her look better than she looks in real life. It makes her feel self-conscious because she looks at those pictures and goes, I don't look that good. It makes her recognize her own flaws and imperfections. So not only are these pictures on their best day ever, but they're also photoshopped. Something else to consider here too, this is something that I think is really important to keep in mind, is these people are also the outliers. Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Kai Green, Phil Heath, these people are the outliers. That's not attainable for most people. That'd be like, it's really easy for us to, like, if I told you, hey, sorry, you're 5'9", you can't be as tall as Kobe Bryant, you would accept that. You would be like, yeah. But if I told you something like, hey, if you just worked harder, you'd be as tall as LeBron James, you'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Exactly. If you just worked harder, you'd be as big as Ronnie Coleman. And I know people will be like, well, it's the drugs. No, it's not just the drugs, because Ronnie was already huge before he started using drugs. Even if you took all the drugs, ate all the same food, did all the same workouts, you still wouldn't be as big as Ronnie Coleman, because much like height, Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, Phil Heath, these guys, they have genetics to be huge. They gain muscle very easily. The rest of us are hard gainers, okay? So similar to how you can't just work harder and get taller, you can't just work harder and win the Olympia. You have to have the genetics. These guys, like, look at their pictures whenever they were natural. They were already huge and jacked. They were already like in the top 0.1%, not just the top 1%, like the top 0.1%. Then they throw drugs in the equation, and it's just like, holy crap, like they're even bigger. So you took the extreme and made it even more extreme, okay? That's something that you need to consider. Like, that's something you have to keep in mind, is that what you're seeing is not even reasonable. This is like you saying, I want to be 7 feet tall. You can't just work harder to be 7 feet tall. Similarly, like I said, there's a lot of other things that come into this, because they look that way for one day. They don't walk around looking like that year round. I think it's Lee Priest. Check out Lee Priest in his off season. He doesn't walk around looking like he looks when he's on stage. Okay? And that's not me criticizing him. That's me just pointing out that this is how it's done. Like, you walk around one way, and then you get super shredded lean for your event, and then, that's the best day of the whole damn year that you look. Okay? Just want to keep that in mind. So you're bombarded with these images that are unrealistic, and you think that people look like that year round, but in reality they just took all their pictures in one day and then spread them out across the year. So it makes it appear like they look like that year round. Now, I'm not saying you can't have visible abs year round. You certainly can, but you're not going to be stayed lean year round. That's a totally different story. And some people can't. I shared this story in the other video that turned into being entirely too long. I had a friend who, it's just how our bodies distribute fat. He would have striated glutes and quad separation and striated deltoids and everything, and still couldn't see his abs. He was super shredded lean everywhere else, and the last place for him to lose fat when he did bodybuilding, But when he would, diet for competition, it wasn't until like the last couple weeks that he could see his abs. His abs would finally come in at the very end. Everything else shredded lean. Me, I can see my abs, but I don't have striated glutes. I don't have quad separation. I don't have striated deltoids. I'm not that lean. The rest of my body is not lean. I can see my abs. It just happens to be that that's how my body distributes fat. I hold less fat in my abdominals, and I hold more fat in my arms, my triceps. It's not like my triceps are not super defined or something. I have fat over my triceps, my deltoids, my glutes, my hamstrings, my quads, everything. I tend to lose fat around my abdominals very easily. Some people don't. Think about that for a second. A guy with striated glutes doesn't have visible abs. Yeah, and it's just how his body distributed it. Okay, that could be you. It's no big deal. We're all just genetically different. And so, like these guys getting on stage for the Olympia, not only do they have great genetics for being huge and muscular, but they have great genetics for having low body fat. Not everyone has that. There's something called the adipostat model or adipostat theory. It's kind of like a thermostat. Your body basically has a set point of how much fat it wants to hold, and it even determines to some degree how you distribute that fat. Some people will hold more visceral fat, which is fat around your organs. Some people will have more, adipose tissue underneath the subcutaneous layer that's underneath your skin, right? So they store their body fat under the skin. Other people store it around their organs. That's actually really bad for you, by the way. It's very the fat around your organs is harmful. Fat under your skin is not harmful, at least according to the data and the outcomes of health outcomes. So that's something to keep in mind here. Okay, trying to do this in a short version. The other thing I want to point out to people is that the fitness industry really has a bad message in a lot of ways. These people that you follow, if you don't know them in person, you're getting the highlight reel. You're seeing the stuff that they post on social media. And that's not necessarily who they are. The same thing is true of me. So I don't want you to think anything different of me. There's a thing on your phone that lets you check your time on your phone, like how much time do you spend doing this, how much time do you doing that. I spend like 2 hours a week on Instagram. Okay, that's not who I am. That's who I am in a 2-hour little gap of the rest of my week. I mean, think about that. Like, there's 24 hours in a day, okay? And I spend 2 hours per week on Instagram. How much of me are you really seeing percentage-wise of who I am or who you think I am on social media? I try to be as honest and transparent and open as I can, but at the same time, like, you guys don't know what I deal with. You can't, because you're not with me 24 hours a day. So, whatever you see and whatever I share is what I've chosen to share. Do you guys want me to start filming doctor's appointments? You guys can come with me on a doctor's appointment and I'll film it, and you can listen to the doctor tell me how you do realize that you're dying. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, this is degenerative. This is progressive. Like, that would be fucking depressing. No one wants to sit through that. You'd rather listen to me talk about lifting weights, right? So the same thing's true of these people in the fitness industry, is you have no idea what things they are dealing with. In fact, I know some of them personally, and a lot of them struggle with eating disorders. They have binge eating. They go through starve and binge cycles, and they fall off the wagon. A lot of them have substance abuse problems. A lot of them are smoking entirely too much marijuana, and they drink a lot of alcohol, and they fall off the wagon, and they go on, 4-6 week long benders of just drinking themselves stupid and eating junk and not working out, and they just completely wreck themselves. And then they get back on track. They're super intense. They're working out twice a day, every day, eating clean, nothing but chicken breast and broccoli. I won't even eat rice anymore. Gotta just chicken breast and broccoli. Working out, and doing 2 hours of cardio a day, and they get back in shape. And then they just fall off the wagon again and start drinking. And I've had a number of my friends in the fitness industry. I'm not in the fitness industry. I'm in strength and conditioning. I realize that the two overlap very much, and most people don't know the difference between the two. People think I'm a personal trainer. It's like, no, I'm an S&C coach, but it doesn't matter. I've had friends who are in the fitness industry, even successful friends in the fitness industry, and they've committed suicide. They were struggling with depression. They suffered from anorexia. I have many friends, male friends, who suffered from anorexia, and that's very I want to say, it's underdiagnosed and unrecognized in men because men don't seek treatment for it. But yet, I run into men all the time that have anorexia. They've never seen a doctor, they've never admitted it to anyone, but they'll admit it to me, which I am grateful for. I'm not a clinician. I don't have a PhD in clinical psychology or a PsyD. My education is in neuropsychology, which I realize has psychology in the name, but it has nothing to do with diagnosing mental illnesses. It's more looking at like the brain itself from like imaging, and then I went back to school for exercise physiology, and then I went back to school again for neurobiology. So I am not a clinician. I don't do clinical psychology. I am just trying to be a good friend and listen and be supportive. And so people will open up to me and tell me things, and I appreciate that. I do. I want people to know that I am really appreciative that they trust me, and they can trust me. I'll never tell you their names. I'll never tell you who they are. Nor will I ever say anything negative about them. But they do struggle with eating disorders. They struggle with their substance abuse disorders. I know many of them that have had issues with alcohol, cocaine, methamphetamines, heroin. They have substance abuse problems. They're on SSRIs. They're on TCAs. They get diagnosed with bipolar or borderline personality or something like that. They have a lot of psychological problems. They deal with a lot of self-hate. A lot of people exercise and work out to punish themselves. They starve themselves. They diet and they exercise because they hate themselves. They don't like the way they look. They're not happy people. They're very troubled. My heart breaks for them. I'm really glad I never got into things like bodybuilding. The only reason I started, working out and lifting weights and stuff like that was to get better at playing sports. And the truth is, I actually hated it. I hated all of it. This is the truth about athletes. Let me tell you something real quick as a side tangent to athletes. Your James Harrisons, they're rare. Most football players just like playing football. They don't like lifting weights. They like playing football. The same thing's true of hockey. Hockey players, dude, we didn't like lifting weights. We did it because we had to. The coach was like, if you skip this, I'm going to bench you. And it's like, oh, well, I guess I have to do this damn thing. I didn't like working out. I didn't like having to do the strength and conditioning shit. I like playing hockey. I'll play hockey 8 hours a day. Shit, I'll play hockey 12 hours a day if I could. Ice time is expensive, though, so I don't. But I love hockey. I'll play hockey all day, every day. I do not love the weight room. Never have, never will. I like judo. I love judo. I would love to do judo 16 hours a day. I like playing sports. The strength conditioning stuff, you do it so you're better at your sport. That's the only reason why you do it, if you're an athlete. If you're an athlete, you like playing games. I like playing games. Strength conditioning is work. That's work. For me, it is. For some people, they enjoy it. They enjoy things. Powerlifting. Like, that is their sport. For me, I like playing sports. Anyways, the point is, a lot of people got into things like bodybuilding because they didn't like the way they looked. They were the fat kid that got bullied, or they were the skinny kid that got bullied, or whatever it was. And so they got into lifting weights and stuff like that because it was their way of building armor. In a weird way. Like, it was like, if I get really big and really strong, people will leave me alone. And so a lot of them were tormented and they were bullied. And they suffered as kids, and so it obviously had an impact on them. And like I said, a lot of them have eating disorders. In fact, you should be very careful. I should probably do a separate video on this, but I'll throw it in here. You should be very careful if you hire someone to do your nutrition for you. A lot of the people who do nutrition, dietitians, nutritionists, etc., they themselves have eating disorders, and they will put their eating disorder into your meal plan. I found that out the hard way. I hired someone who's very well known now, but he was a nobody whenever I hired him, to help me with my nutrition. And it was like, next thing I knew, we're like, oh, gluten's evil. You can't have gluten ever. And I listened to him because I believed him. And he, cut my carbs way down, and all this crazy stuff. And after a couple months of working with him, it was like, dude, my performance is going to shit. I'm not working with this guy anymore. Now I realize, and I mean this sympathetically, now I realize that he has serious issues himself. He has an eating disorder. It's very clear, because I've known this person for, holy shit, 16 years now. So 16 years of knowing this person, and now he's become very well known. But he definitely has an eating disorder, and it was evident to me at the time that this is a very weird meal plan, because all these different foods are off limits, and he was really obsessed with not eating any carbohydrates and all these things like that. Everything had to be grass-fed and organic. Can't have regular beef. It was like, it's orthorexia is what it is. And, it didn't make sense to me, and when my performance tanked, well, that was the end of it, because I don't care. If you tell me I have to eat, I don't care, plain rice with, I hate chicken, but that's what I'll pick here, because I hate it. If you tell me I have to eat rice and chicken to get better, I will eat it. Not because I like it. I will do it just simply so I can play my sport better. Okay? I'm a steak guy. I like eating steak. Steak's my favorite food. I know other people are like chocolate, ice cream. I'm like steak. You ever go to Outback and you get the prime rib? Prime rib with a baked potato. Oh man, that's better than anything that Ben and Jerry's makes, as far as I'm concerned. I could eat prime rib and potatoes all day. But anyways, the point being, if you hire someone to do nutrition, a lot of these people, they have an eating disorder themselves, and it will flood into yours. And they may put their beliefs onto you. Now you're afraid of eating gluten. Now I have to be afraid of eating gluten because I actually have an IgA deficiency, which is, celiac disease. But for normal people who don't have an issue with eating it, it's not evil. I'm not ever someone to fearmonger things. Just because one person's allergic to peanuts doesn't mean that peanuts are bad for everyone. I have a soy allergy. I have to put an EpiPen in my neck. You can have some soy, assuming you don't have an allergy. But yeah, if you're allergic to something to the point where you got to put an EpiPen in your neck, don't eat it. And that's different for everyone. Maybe it's peanuts for you, maybe it's soy for another person, maybe it's corn for another person. If you got to stab yourself with an EpiPen, well, there you go. So anyways, point being, be very cautious. A lot of these people in the fitness industry, whether you hire them for training or you hire them for nutrition or whatever it is, you think, oh, I want to look like this person, so I'm going to hire this person. That one that definitely never works. That never works. You can't copy someone else's program and diet and look like them. It never works. My brother and I followed the same training program because we trained together. My brother's the best training partner ever. I should probably do a separate video on that. We ate the exact same damn food. My brother was big and jacked and muscular. He still is. I'll never forget. Like, my brother, just built to deadlift. How about that? Built to deadlift and bench press. He doesn't bench press anymore because he blew his shoulder out doing Tough Mudder, of all dumb, stupid things he could possibly do. It's like, dude, you are a Clydesdale. You are built to move big, heavy weights. Why would you go do a Tough Mudder? That'd be like me saying I'm going to go do, I don't know, pick something that I'm not built for. I don't know. But yeah, my brother is built to deadlift big, heavy things, bench press big, heavy things, squat big, heavy things. He has big, thick bones. He's very, very strong. Doing the same training program, eating the same food, my brother was far more muscular, stronger, etc. Eventually, it became hard for us to train together because it was like he's squatting 385 for reps, and I'm squatting 365 for a single. He's over there deadlifting, 455, 465 for sets of, 4 and 5 reps. I'm over here like barely able to pull 405 for one. So, he was doing the same program though, doing the same diet. We ate the same meals, we trained together. Why we get so drastically different results? Because even in the same family, we both got our genes tested, and we looked at our genes, and it was like, holy crap, how are we brothers? You have all these great genes, and I have all the shitty ones. That's why my brother always jokes around that it's like Gattaca. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie. My brother says that I'm the one in Gattaca. I never left anything for the swim back. He said that that line made him think of me, because I would kill myself, and that would be the only way I could beat him, is that I left nothing in the tank, and that was the only way I could beat him. Yet he was the one who was genetically gifted, and I was the one who just was willing to die. And that was how we trained. So he was so genetically gifted that he put in 80% effort, and I put in 100% effort, and the only way I ever beat him was because I was willing to die to beat him. And so that line apparently made my brother think of me. I never left anything for the swim back, and my brother brings that up even to this day. We are Gattaca. We're brothers, but one of us got the good genes. Thanks, 23andMe. Anyways, so moving on from this, okay? When you hire a fitness professional and you think you're going to look like them by doing their training program and their diet, you're not. And you should be very, very cautious, because a lot of these people have issues. And actually, I'll be quite honest with you. I'm going to say something mean here, but it's the truth. Some of these people that I've met in this industry are some of the meanest people you could ever meet. And I assume that that is because they themselves struggle. It's like that saying that hurt people hurt other people. I believe it. I believe it, because I run into these people who have serious, serious problems of their own, and they can be really vicious and mean to other people, and it's unfortunate. Not everyone is well adjusted. I'm not even well adjusted, but I just don't have any desire to be mean to people. Life is hard enough. Don't be mean to people. It doesn't accomplish anything. It doesn't, win people over. When was the last time you were a dick to someone and they were like, you know what, I really like you? It's like the whole thing with, the vegans that want to convert people to veganism, so they're like, fuck you, I hope you die. And it's like, oh, that's such a rational argument. I think I'll become a vegan. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. I can't do that for keto either, or carnivore. I can't be like, fuck you, you piece of shit. Can't believe you eat fruit. What kind of maniacal piece of shit sociopath are you? You eat fruit? No one's going to look at me and be like, that is a very logical argument. That was very convincing. Thank you. I am going to take up keto. That does not work. But yet we see that. That's actually happening now. The carnivores and keto people are actually just as bad as the vegans at this point. They're like, you're a moral failure. What are you teaching your kids? I can't believe you eat carbohydrates. And it's like, whoa, dude. That's not an effective way to communicate to people. No one's going to look at you and be like, that's such a good argument. I think I'm going to give up carbs. Any more than the vegans are going to get people to be like, oh, I am a sociopath and a piece of shit. What a good argument. That was really convincing. No, that's not how it works. That never works. Would you buy a car from someone who was like, you look like a piece of shit, buy this car? No. No, you wouldn't. So anyways, that's what I have for you guys. I managed to cut this down to 20-something instead of an hour long. But yeah, the point is that there's a lot of this stuff perpetuated. The images, they're not realistic. It's perpetuating this image that is just simply not real. A lot of the advice is terrible. 75 hard, you got to work out twice a day. No, you don't. You don't have to work out twice a day. No. I mean, you can if you have a specific goal that requires it. Yes, there are athletes who need to train twice a day. For most of us, we're going to get by just fine with 40 minutes. I get by with 40 minutes. I don't have to work out for, 2 hours a day doing split sessions or some shit. 40 minutes of good hard work. That's it. And some days 20. It's, not every workout is the same. I don't have the same workout every day. I hope you don't either. Don't get me wrong. I'm doing a deadlift workout or something like that. It's going to take an hour, but that's because I'm sitting on my ass for 4 or 5 minutes between sets. So I spend more time just sitting and recovering between sets. But it's all relative to what you're doing. I mean, if you're doing, reps of whatever, you're probably not going to be doing 5-minute rest for max strength. That's just not how you train. So anyways, that was tangential, but the point being that, you don't need to do these 2-a-day workouts, and you don't need to starve yourself. You don't need extreme things. You can never have bread ever again. Get over yourself. Have a damn sandwich. God, there's nothing like a good sandwich, is there? You know, my dad used to make these Spam sandwiches. Oh, man. Not going to go down that path because I got all sad. I miss my dad a lot. You wouldn't believe. So, anyways, I hope this was useful. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, if you see these images of these people like Ronnie Coleman, just remind yourself that, you know, oh, if I just worked harder, I'd be like Ronnie. Well, that's like you saying, if I just worked harder, I'd be as tall as LeBron James. It just doesn't work that way. It's no different than IQ. You know, some people are born with very high IQ. No one ever beats themselves up and goes, oh, you know, if I just worked harder, I would have had an IQ of 160. No, come on. Like, we all know how that works. You know, and that's why I think people are dicks, too, and they're like, I got a 1600 on my SAT. It's like, good for you, fucker. Like, no one cares. No one cares. Trust me, no one cares about your 1600 SAT. It's one thing when you're 18 and you go to high school and you tell all your high school friends, I got a 1600, and they all look at you and like, fuck you. Fuck you, Chad. No one cares. And that's right. Fuck you, Chad. No one cares. No one cares. That's the truth. No one cares what your IQ is. No one cares what your SAT score was. No one cares. You care. That's about it. You care. You care what your number was. It's like, oh, I'm so great because I did this. That's why I think it's weird when people like Bill Gates, like, dude, you're like 70 years old and you're still bragging about your SAT score. It's like, dude, that was high school. By the time you're in your 30s, if you're still talking about your SAT score and bragging about it to people as if like somehow you're better than them, like, that's dumb. It's a stupid test. Like, it really is. It's a stupid test. I don't think it means anything at all, actually. I know people who had shit scores and went on to get a PhD and they're fucking brilliant. And then there are people that got a perfect on their SAT and they're doing nothing with their lives. They're sitting around playing video games and smoking pot all day. It doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. There are people who are going to be successful no matter what. So, anyways, that's a stupid tangent there, but I just thrown that in there because it's kind of like the whole genetic argument about muscle gain or height or whatever. Some people are born with a high IQ, some people are born with a low IQ, and you know, as long as your IQ is around 100-ish, you'll probably be fine. Because most of us are average, and there's nothing wrong with being average. We need to... More people should try to just be you. But be the best possible version of yourself. That's about it. Hope you guys liked the video. Comment if you have an opinion. Comment if you have observation to share. Maybe it'll help someone else. And subscribe if you guys like this kind of content. We can certainly talk about some of the weird shit that happens in the fitness industry. We can also talk about weird diets, and we can talk about weird training programs, and we can talk about a lot of the stuff that doesn't make any sense. Because there's a lot of weird, scammy marketing out there. And people selling promises. You know, transform your body in 30 days. No. Unless you got some secret drug. I mean, I just want you guys to stop and think about the fact that, like, Big Ramy gained, like, 15 pounds in a year. So, like, if you think you're going to gain 40 pounds of muscle in a month, not going to happen. So, just think that. Keep that in mind. Transformations don't happen fast. People work really hard for a long time to do that. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it was useful. Thanks so much for your time.